Not many would counter with a straight scoff in hearing the 20 teens referred to as crazy off. As the 20s begin, a handful of months in, a whole lot to remember thinking back on the tens from millennium's double digits to 19's December. I suppose if it began with an entire administration's recant, could have been like alright downhill from now atop this mountain at about a 70-degree slant. But nope, the slope started still digging out after recession. Bankers ain't really confessed, pretty sure no one really learned the lesson. At the time, still a lot of guessing on how to correctly correct it. Dodd-Frank passed, tasked to regulate bad tasks, and the future will test it. Gotta give credit to the Fed, may not know how to convey well, but they stayed relatively unshaken, making necessary dissections. Bo took a crack at the new healthcare to grow the welfare of those barely standing staring down a barrel of a failed marriage between compassion and greedy big pharma chairman. 44th president we elected led us to a more upward trajectory. Economy showed some affection, mostly from the consumer's direction. Got a little tech section injection, some of that a little but mostly contributed to the progression. Messing with the timeline as many dates a blur, so we're just gonna put everything all together. Bowing grounding, towards the rest on the ground, of pounding with pressure from climate changing, rearranging ranges. We now need to remeasure weather, indicating we need to detether past fashions from more realistic future endeavors. Uber blew up, though only getting redder and redder. We work all kinds of banana pants when it came to their ledger. Google, Apple, Amazon, all of them just as large as ever. Facebook elevated in a whole lot of ways, and in a whole lot of ways it really needs to do a whole lot better. Online platforms elude being sued, Sec 230's a protector, because if any lesser, every second they catch a case. Electric and AI churning out at a next generation pace. Some race to rebirth space as well as 5G on the surface. Not to mention physics extension since Higgs bosons perk to play. Curtains to tolerating unwanted flirting in the workplace. Still certainly not as handled as it can be. So much terrible language and anguish over an apparently uncontrollable affinity for getting handsy. Some of the men were caught on record, but it's those brave women who came forward to stand up against them, no matter how intense their attorneys alleged. A handful did get canned, somewhat publicized, in a manner that no new branding is gonna unearth careers. Interred by Lady Justice, balling up fists, resisting, punching a few men in the lips they speak with, but unmistakably getting antsy. Regular insanity over in the Middle East. Early in, got Bin Laden, then ISIS wreaked a lot of havoc, peaked and then gradually compacted. Now not as many active as had been, but still has been, appealed the beat. Hard to understand why still in Afghanistan prayers for a planning that they stand the heat. Legalization of same-sex marriage, and for the most part weed. Hacked and released documents all out to read. Not to mention Wells Fargo acting like hackers tapping accounts to bleed. Average just grab quick facts from the tube news feeds, or Jon Stewart, Trevor, who at first was like, who's he? A doozy of a twist in 16, and the polarizing mix of feelings just keep on mixing. Shutdowns and roughhousing in the White House had been stressing. The gluttony of preposterousness was definitely testing, not just for the average citizen, but the press who keep on pressing, lest they miss the newest witness blowing on whistles confessing. Witness the House not do much congressing, with much regression, always off in the wrong cave to make calls to raise for election, with any upturn, downturn spun like a top board, just an all-out deflection. Upper abdomen of politics spent money on the rich and their investments. One with 12 zeros next to it was just 19's deficit. 22 of those the whole debt. Now that's some budgetary indigestion. Greenback eating termite tariffs, it seems it's us infested, which didn't account for the low count of unemployment, and of course the projection that we'd end on a high note, though much of the country wasn't feeling that impression. Still oppression to certain contestants in this country's game show. State and federal host question methods, though on the ground seems like the same old. Minorities get to live too, yes, some authorities say no. Refugees need rescuing, though the more and more places they can go. Middle class trying to grow a little faster, but every other living task takes a bank loan. College, healthcare, disaster, welfare, it seems like the O is our same boat. Staying afloat, we continue to roll. Life's a heck of a dream, cable a stream, diversities on multiple screens. Science fiction, more reality from talented engineering behind the scenes. Women get more more recognition all across the board toward equality, though obviously quite a ways away yet, but probabilities seem more in reach. Rest in peace to the recently deceased, best wishes and bless the newly conceived. Easy to pick apart what went unaddressed as 'twas the long list addressing. Stepping back to recap, took a sec with the good and the bad selected like sketches. It took a stretch to get us up and out of a mess, and then by the end still quite a bit messy. There was some chill intent, but peace. Now wide open arms to 20 as though we're already besties, huh? And no second guessing. Yes, it's an alarming handful of cards into a 120 card deck. Granted, undoubtedly nerve-wracking. A tyrant of a virus pirating through our lives like the tide was just right in the moonlight shine, the sudden and deathly arrival of the pearl attacking. Surge tracking tricky when the selfish go about norm and helpless. Groans like those who keep it close to the go comes from the CDC's help desk. In order to quelch stress, most rest their weariness on the techno. Netflix from the get-go. Disney, Quibi, and all the others must be a little giddy within the business context alone. Congress still not getting along while working urgently on the same purpose of making sure the people and economy they serve stand strong. Keeping jobs and health scares connected is perilous, yet we bet our rubber bands long and it'll hold. Our people keep fighting, working parents at home, zooming and skyping, also educated to the children, frightening, but it's also possible that they will come back thriving. All medical staff. Whew. Working hard on surviving with limited supplies so that they can apply their skills to the dying. Hats off to them. Better yet, to mask and then handing it over without him even having to ask. We'll get through this quick or future's distance, but as always, together through this brutal existence of different times so far. All the unknown and bizarre, but grown is betting on the country we are. So we're gonna ride until all the tanks show simply empty, but we've got plenty now to coast us on through the 2020s. Here we go.
Grow my